count down this.
We're live!
Hey.
It's been live.
We are live.
Oh, so like on the side, little questions will pop up, right? If people decide to come. Oh my god, I'm so fucking nervous. Can I curse?
Yes. I mean, I don't think it matters.
Okay.
Mateo did an art.
I was probably going to anyway, but I'll try and keep it low just in case, I don't know, babies are watching. Does it say who's on?
It'll say when you join, right?
Yeah,
Oh, we just have to wait for people to join. Okay.
I think so.
I'm just going to play a song.
Let's see.
Wouldn't it be awesome in some weird way if no one showed up except for like one person? I would be so relaxing. Oh my god, the pressure of questions.
I mean, it's not outside the realm of possibilities.
That very well might happen.
That's okay. I would love to talk to you guys, just purely.
There
I'm
is
gonna
that.
share this over on my own page.
Oh, how do you do that? That's a good idea.
Oh, wait, what are we doing? Oh, can it say like Melissa's live?
Okay.
Oh, are the 4 people us or are there 4 other people?
I think it's us. Comment if you're there.
We are the 4.
Hey, Sarah's here. Hey, Sarah.
Sarah!
Ah, we have.
Okay. Now we have viewers.
Okay. We can probably give it another. We'll probably
Let's
give it to what, like
minutes to see
35.
who wanders in.
How do we share this? How do you do that wizardry?
I just opened a new link and went to Equality Shoals and shared it.
Ah, gotcha. That makes sense.
Oh, there we go. Okay, it just popped up that it's live.
Oh.
I wish I could say like
Oh,
I would.
looks like 7 viewers.
Yay.
There's a little eyeball next to the word live.
I say,
Yeah.
you do see 4 people.
8.
Okay.
All right. Who do I got? My friend Lady. Sorry, I'm clearly the super one.
Okay.
No more coffee, I promise. I had some coffee today. All right, how do we see all who's here? Do you click on this little eyeball or just
Oh, Tim. Hi, guys.
who's here? Make comments.
All right, I guess
It can-
ready to get
Sounds
this
good.
started. Dima, you want to give a little introduction first? You want to say anything or you want me to just go?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to the Asexual Q&A. I am here. I'm the Vice President of Equality Shoals, and I'm basically just moderating the questions that come in and the tech, and yeah, I'll turn it over to Brittany.
My name is Brittany. I'm a board member for Equality Shoals. And like Dima said, this is a discussion we're going to have for ACE Week. Before I introduce our guests who have so generously decided to be with us tonight, that's super exciting. I do have a little bit of history and kind of terminology that I'm going to go over right quick. We have like 10 or 11 questions that we're going to throw at them. And then if we have time, once we get through all that, we'll take questions from the comments. I would ask that you keep any questions you might have. Just be mindful and respectful that these are human beings that you're speaking to. And let's just say don't ask anything that you wouldn't like not ask a random person on the street. So I'll leave your judgment to yourself, but just try to be mindful and respectful.
Who knows where the bar is?
Right. So this year's ACE Week is the 10th anniversary of the first Asexual Awareness Week in 2010. A few years ago, they decided to replace asexual awareness with just ACE Week because ACE is a more umbrella term that includes people that identify all across the asexual spectrum, as long as they along with a romantic. And I'm not going to get into a whole lot of that terminology myself, but aceweek.org and Asexual Awareness Week on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter all have great content that you can check out. What is ACE Week? And this is from their website. ACE Week is an annual event that puts asexuality in the spotlight. Part celebration of progress being made as a community, part campaign for great understanding and acceptance of asexual spectrum identities. ACE Week is a time to focus on all things ACE. The ACE community has made significant headway over the years. Asexual representation in mainstream media continues to improve. Major LGBTQ plus organizations now acknowledge and include ACE identities, and ACE community groups have also sprouted up and flourished in cities around the world. ACE Week gives an opportunity to recognize these achievements and the efforts that made them possible, as well as continuing to further issues that are faced by the community. There's still a fight for visibility and acceptance among the ACE community at large. Identities are often overlooked or misunderstood, and many asexual people grow up not realizing that asexuality is an option. Since the issues ACEs face are directly influenced by their other marginalized identities, many in the community, especially ACEs of color, disabled ACEs, and ACEs with other LGBTQ plus identities, which is something we'll get into in the questions, can face significant barriers to equality and acceptance. In light of this, ACEs all over the world participate in ACE Awareness Week by creating educational resources, sharing information, and raising awareness and just having discussions about these identities. More and more people discover ACE communities each year, and with them find acceptance, comfort, and joy. We are so excited and honored and grateful that we have this opportunity to center ACE voices in our community. Like I said, they have so generously agreed to have this discussion on something that is really a complex and very personal topic. We have AC with us. They are Alabama-born, autistic, non-binary, and trans-masculine 30-something working on navigating this thing called life. And also, we have our Philadelphia-born but Alabama-loving cis, bisexual, asexual. It's a mouthful.
We exist.
Melissa. So welcome, guys.
Thank you. So nice.
Is there anything you want to say before
Howdy.
we jump into questions? All right, we're just going to go for it. All right, so I guess AC, we'll start with you.
This is new and exciting.
It is.
What does being asexual mean to you?
So to me, being it would help if I'd be able to say the word. Being ace, for me, means that, I don't experience sexual attraction or desire. I'm also not 100% sure what those things would feel like. The autism. And just knowing there is a term for this not being interested is really, really nice because, as I'm sure we'll get into in some of the other questions, when you experience feelings that you don't know what are and you don't have a word for them, it's confusing and you wonder if you're the only one who feels like this and if you're, you know, weird for that. And so being ace means that I know I'm not the only one and that, there's a community, and like all communities, it doesn't always agree with itself, but it's still there.
Nice. And that's a part of the discussion we've had leading up to this is that, like any other community, the ACE community is not a monolith. We in no way expect or intend AC and Melissa to speak for everyone. They're speaking to their personal experiences,
Yeah.
And everybody's is a little bit different. But having said that, Melissa, what does being asexual mean to you?
Okay. I'm just going to say this real fast because I did this with my mother today. I was video chatting with her and I said, okay, Mom, let's pretend you're on a heterosexual panel. How do you feel about women and do you ever want to touch their vaginas? And she went, oh, no. And I was like, but you think they're pretty, because she has this thing for Ellen. And she was like, yeah, but I wouldn't. And I was like, that is how I feel about everyone. Like, there's so many different kinds of attraction that have nothing to do with sex. And we'll get into those later. But it's just that feeling. I don't have it. Some people would say I'm missing it, but to me that says that I'm broken, and I'm not fucking broken. So it's just a different perspective. It's like cats can see different cooler colors than other creatures. Guess what? So can I, but like in a different way, if that makes any sense. Yeah, so it just means I don't understand, and like you had said, I don't even understand what it would be like to be out and be like, oh man, I really want to touch their butt, like, or like, ooh, I feel so horny. Like I don't see it or think about it. I would never know if anyone was hitting on me. So yeah, it's just something cool.
Okay, I think that some of what you just said kind of leads pretty well into our next question. And I guess, Melissa, I'll let you go first on this one. Could you explain to us the difference between asexual and aromantic?
Yes. And I can only answer this from an asexual perspective. I am not aromantic. When I was first learning all these terms, what felt helpful to me was to think of A in front of it as like, not anti necessarily. This is just off the cuff in my head, but like asexual, not sexual, aromantic, not romantic. And it's on a huge spectrum because, as we said, attraction is so many different cool things. So if you are asexual, you will be on some kind of spectrum of being completely sex repulsed, which we'll go into the myths later, to, yeah, I have sex sometimes because it makes you feel good to make your partner feel good. It makes you feel good for closeness. Sometimes you want to do it because you make your skin looks real nice afterwards, or it's a release. But aromantic, you are not interested in romance. It just, and I imagine it's the same as asexual. Like it just doesn't, I don't know. I'm not aromantic, but did that answer it? I don't know.
Yeah. AC, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I can speak to that as, on the aromantic spectrum as well. So, yeah, not really feeling a desire to have romantic feelings for people, like the things, that are seen as typically romantic, I'm like, those can just be nice things you do for people. Like if you went to a movie with someone and, you know, maybe you paid for their drink or their food, or, if you went, like, I feel like those are just nice things anyone can do. Whereas someone who is romantic would probably see that as something as a step towards a different sort of relationship. Um, it's like, interested in dating. I don't really understand dating. I have never really understood dating other than it's a thing that exists and that a lot of people do it. Uh, when I was in fourth grade, I managed to become my friend group's agony aunt, and they would
Is that a
come to me
Southern
with their
term?
boyfriend problems. And I was like, "You're in fourth grade. What are you doing? You are not going to marry him. You are in fourth grade. What is going on? Why are you
You were
talking to
bringing
me?"
too much
And
proof.
then later I realized they figured I was non-threatening and would not steal their boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
Look, I've never dated. Why are you asking me for? I was the one person they knew who did not seem to be interested in, lining up to be the next in line for, like, the one decent guy in the school. Because the pickings were slim. Decent dudes. And meanwhile, I was there like, why do I not understand girls?
Mm.
But yeah, just I don't. It's like I can understand people's reasons for it, but I think of it more as just, it's not. I don't see it as romantic stuff. I see it as stuff that would just be nice to do for someone.
So it's
In other
it's
words, I'm not romance averse
right. It's
if we're
just
gonna go
environmental
with
comment.
that, but I don't necessarily see romantic things as romantic,
Can I ask a question?
and I don't really want to date that.
Yes. Sure.
I don't know who I'd date. Yes.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I wanted to know because I am not a romantic.
Yes.
Is it that you just are not interested in relationships, or you just don't think it's kind of like what's romantic anyway? Like, is it like that, or you're not interested in relationships?
It's kind of like that, and I'm not really interested in that kind of relationship where there are expectations that come along with uh, things that are typically viewed as romantic. There's kissing and stuff, and a lot of people conflate romance and sex because for a lot of people there's not a difference there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Wow, those are really deep answers. Um, so thank you again for being really just open and honest. We've touched on a little of this already, but to just go a little deeper, what are some, and I'll say because I know there are so many, what are some of the biggest misconceptions about asexuality, and what harm can come from them? And I guess, AC, if you want to start.
Okay, so really the biggest one is that asexuality is just sexy, which is not having sex. And those are not the same thing. Asexuals can be celibate, or they can, as was mentioned earlier, they may participate in sex with a partner for any number of reasons. In other words, it's not a choice. It's not a choice.
Right.
A lot of people, when they conflate it with celibacy, they think it's a choice. And just like any other sexuality, it's not a choice. It's part of you.
Right.
And that's generally the biggest one. And, oh, you just haven't met the right person yet. It's one of those things. And people think, oh, maybe you're not mature enough yet. That would probably be something someone would say to a younger person who said they were asexual. Just the general, people when they tell you that this is their reality.
Right.
Some other things, that it must be a medical issue if you don't experience desire. It was pathologized in the DSM for a long time. In other words, they would try to medicate it out of you. And I do know anecdotally of aces who have partners and whose extended family and medical community tried to get them out of being asexual without they're actually wanting that. In other words, they doctors and stuff not always great with asexuality, just like any other queer sexuality.
Right. Now, and this is,
again, another one, it must have been caused.
I was just curious if it has been removed from the DSM, right? Like it's not still in the DSM, because I wasn't.
Like 2013.
Yes.
I'm just pulling
Oh,
it
wow.
Yes.
Right. I'm sorry.
Right. It's fairly recent. They do have for can't. In other words, for people who legitimately, want to experience sexual things and may have in the past, but for whatever reason do not now. But that's more of a libido thing,
Right.
which is different. And then another common myth is that traumatic must have happened to you to make you this way. Which, one of those that touches a lot of other sexualities.
Mm-hmm.
Like some aces may have some trauma, and that may contribute to their asexuality, but it doesn't mean that all aces have had sexual trauma.
Thank you. Melissa, you want to?
It's like those.
Put my hair up, ready to go wide. That made me cry. What was the question again? I know how I feel about it, but what was it again?
The biggest misconceptions, the common misconceptions, and the harm that can come from them.
I'm gonna cry.
That's fine.
I'm gonna start at the end. Of course, it's fine. I let everybody cry all the time in public. I do it all the time. Just when you need to cry, cry. No shame. I'm gonna go to the second part with harm. The harm that can come is death. People committing suicide, people feeling that they are so alone and so broken, and it just, when you feel so foreign from everyone and people are telling you that you don't exist, people are telling you people are telling you it's libido, it's sex drive, you haven't met the right person, I just, all the things that you mentioned, like just, all of it. And it's like, you're born this way. You're not broken. Nothing is missing. It's just different. That's all it is. But the damage that can come from anything that questions who someone is, ultimately, to me, death, harm, nothing but, I don't know. It's more dangerous than people think it is, even in the tiniest amount. So educate yourself. All right, I'm done.
I feel like that is a really important point that people don't think about is
speaking to that, there was
Wait, am I frozen?
oh, go ahead. Sorry. Finish what you're saying.
going to add that I'm okay. I was just going to add that not only can it lead to attempted or successful suicides, it can also lead to murder. There is an instance of an asexual blogger who was open about being asexual, and there was a man who did not particularly like that. And so he killed her. I do not remember her name, but I do remember reading about that instance.
Man. Yeah, that's heavy. But I mean, I feel like it's important that we.
So the dangers of people deciding that they're going to fix someone with sex are one of those things.
Yeah, those are really excellent points. And I'm glad that, I know glad seems like the wrong word to use, but words are hard. I'm grateful that we did hit on like the big one of assuming that another person needs to be fixed because of how they do or don't feel about sex, or who they are or are not attracted to, or what they know to be true about themselves and their gender and their sexuality, is like the ultimate harm that can come from that is loss of life, either at their own hand or at the hand of someone else. And I feel like, you know, that's something that we have to be real about. Okay, so I feel like we've covered a lot of this over the first 3 questions, but is there anything else you want to add as far as what do you wish more people knew about asexuality? And Melissa, you want to start?
Yes. Okay. That it's fucking awesome. That I'm awesome. That ace people are awesome. I don't know what your bullshit is. I don't know what you think is wrong. I don't think it's weird that you want to have whatever. I don't even know. I don't think it's weird that you're horny all the time. I think it's great. So I'm different and I'm great. So something to know about asexuality. I think it's just to know you're born that way. This is just the way it is. We're just different. We're born this way. We live in such a sexualized, overly sexualized world. I mean, I don't even know what commercials are for anymore. I don't know. Was it for a watch? Was it for the thong? I don't know. Because I don't know. Like, I don't even understand any of that stuff. I'm like, oh, so much butt, so many things. So yeah, just that we exist. I know it sounds crazy, but we exist. That's it.
I don't think it sounds crazy at all. I mean, that's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
I wish.
And we're not new.
To look up the statistics on, you know, just general statistics on like how many people openly identify as asexual now. But I mean, I know it's an increasing number because this is a pretty, in the kind of pop culture lexicon of gender and sexuality, it's kind of new.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's one of those things that new is the wrong word
It's like
because it's always existed.
There's language for it.
Right. Was there other words for it when people didn't identify as asexual?
Spinsters, weirdos, lonely cat people.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the spinster movement, which scared the crap out of heterosexual white men because there were these women who were not interested in making babies.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them were probably lesbians or bisexual, but a lot of them were interested in sex at all. And that bugged people. And people were writing about this as early as 1907. So
Oh, wow.
we've been around. We were not invented
Forever.
by Tumblr. Yeah. And just because people discover it on Tumblr doesn't mean Tumblr invented it. We've been around.
It's nice to have the language, though, right?
Let's see.
Like labels can be
did have
harmful,
some-
but
Yeah, because if you don't have they can also help you through things. Like, I didn't know I was autistic until I was like 31 or 32 because I was born in the
did I freeze?
I am AFAB. They aren't good at catching that in AFAB people. They are also not good at diagnosing it in black or indigenous people or other people of color because they generally mislabel it as just behavior issues, whereas AFAB people are more likely to be diagnosed with BPD or bipolar. And of course there could be overlap. I greatly suspect that a cousin of mine was on the spectrum in addition to being bipolar because of some of her sensory issues. But it's one of those things people don't understand. They're still figuring it out, and they're figuring out that, actually we probably shouldn't label this by gender because there's people don't always fit the stereotype of the little white boy who's interested in trains.
While we're talking about autism,
but going back to asexuality,
I like that. I like
talk about
there's been overlap talk in a lot of communities.
Right. Is there an intersection that you want to talk about between your autism and your asexuality?
Oops. I think there is some because it's kind of, there are expected social things out the realms of romance and sexuality. And it's like when I was in first, second, third grade, I figured I'd probably marry one of the guys in my friend group because I had basically an all-guy friend group in elementary school. And I figured I'd probably marry one of them because a lot of times people seem to marry people they went to school with. And it's like, it's not because I felt any attraction to them. It's that I thought they were fun to be around and that people did. And getting older, it was like I thought, oh, I'm just focusing on academics because, one, all of these dudes are trash, and two, not interested in who on earth has the time for that, and why are you dating in fourth grade anyway? Like, for some reason, I don't know if it was like officially said anywhere, but when I was in elementary school, we all had, at least my friend group, we all had this concept that you weren't allowed to date until high school. I don't know where we came up with that. But we thought it was a school rule, which is hilarious in retrospect.
Are you from here?
We also thought, and this is hilarious. This is also something that is hilarious, since I did turn out to be ace, we were also under the impression that sex was the S word.
Wow.
There's so many comments.
And then
Wow.
I changed schools. Then I changed schools, and some kids thought "shut up" was the S word, and I was really confused. I was like, "No, that's not it. I'm not telling you what it is, but that's not it."
Oh, and you weren't even gonna tell what it is. Oh my god. Did you grow up dumb? It's
No,
so
I was just like, I
crazy.
was too weirded out by the fact that they thought, what? Yeah,
Yeah, it's weird.
it's like the first part is partly because I went to a Bible-based private school, which probably
Yeah, yeah. That's all.
starting in 4th grade, I went to a county public school, and that got real interesting.
They're like, happy
I
first
learned
day,
the word crap
vaginas and
in
dicks.
4th grade.
So I think
It's like, what is this?
we can kind of, the next two questions that we have are kind of, can be rolled in together. What challenges have you faced as an asexual, and how do people react? Do they treat you differently? I think I would also add to that, do you feel that you've had to, like, I hate to say formally, but formally, like, come out as an asexual? Like, where do you stand on, like, because I guess for me it seems like I don't discuss my sex drive with random people. Like, I don't feel like I need to announce, like, hey, it's been a good week. So it's odd to me that some people are so intrusive and curious about people who don't have a sex drive. So I just kind of wonder, like, where you stand on, like, do you feel like it's your responsibility to educate others, or do you feel like it's more of a, like, this is just my life, back off, leave me alone? So just to put that all together again, it was challenges you faced and how people react or if they treat you differently. AC?
So, like, in the realm of face-to-face, I don't talk about it that much. Like, I have used the description of it to talk about it to my parents. I haven't used the actual words, but, said that I'm not interested. And the main worry for my mother is the singleness aspect and the fact that it's really financially hard to live as a single person in this current economy and most economies, because capitalism.
Truth, kids.
What else was I going to say? The main issue I've really dealt with is that, people don't know a lot that asexuality is a thing. People will make other assumptions about my sexuality, or have made other assumptions about my sexuality, which was real in the brief time I taught middle school. Because I wore slacks and polo shirts every day and had short hair. Not as short as I have it now. This is the shortest I've ever had my hair. But I did not look like the other female teachers. I had not gotten to the point where I'd realized I was trans yet. Like, the second day of school, as we were going to lunch, and this was a primarily group of black students, because of where the school was situated. And so I had a student ask me, as we're going to lunch, mind you, so they're all lined up, and we're going to go down the hallway and down some stairs, ask me if I was a stud, which is an African American term for a butch lesbian. And I was like, I'm going to pretend I did not hear that because I am not having this conversation right now and probably never, because I'm a first year teacher and this is Alabama and it's basically, what call a no promo homo state.
Mm.
And it's like, no, I don't want to do it with anybody really, but let's go to lunch now and I'm going to pretend that never happened. But students talk to each other. And so a little bit later, one of my 8th graders, this was a 7th grader that asked the first time. A little bit later, one of my 8th graders asked, mentioned that so-and-so said that they'd called me a stud. And I was like, let's ignore this and move on with the rest of the class. And then, with bullying, middle schoolers have not changed in like 20 years in our
Anywhere.
world. And so trying to shut down them picking a couple to pick on as gay in my first period class, which was the worst for bullying. First block class, so, an hour and 30 minutes, if that's a lot of fun. And they're like, they pulled a gay means happy card.
I hate kids.
And so later, somebody asked me, are you happy? And I'm like, I know where you're going with that. I was not born yesterday. I'm tired. And they said, are you happy at home? I'm tired at home. Because, for real, I was. Because that school situation, in addition to bullying, had discipline issues because basically there was nothing done that would actually discipline them. Some kid one day when I was taking roll that some kid was supposed to be in PE. So I sent him to PE. Before the end of the class is over, he's back in my classroom and I'm getting a call saying, yeah, we changed his schedule, but he had a fit, so we changed it back. And so the kids all knew that there was nothing anyone in that building could really do to them. And so I tried one day to have a mini lesson on respect, because who's going to do it if it's not the English teacher? Because that always happens with English teachers.
Never the math teacher.
But we had this curriculum we were supposed to be testing out, and we we were doing this test out curriculum, which really did not for our student body, and we'd known that from the time they started training us on it. But so I'm trying to do a lesson on respect, and that is the day that my first block class decides to have a discussion on which of the two guys they like to call gay was the...
Oh.
And so one of them decided my telephone to call his mother and him. But the principal walked by using the school telephone. And he's like, what's going on here? And I was like, well, I was having a lesson on respect. And he said, who told you to do that? Like I needed permission to teach something in my own classroom that wasn't based on the curriculum. And I'd already gotten suicidal by that point. And the guy next to me in the hallway, he had 10 years teaching experience. He'd already put in his resignation. It wasn't October yet.
Jesus.
It was still September. And so, being completely overwhelmed, partly because I was autistic and had no idea I was autistic and therefore could not deal with certain aspects of being overloaded. I just broke down crying
Mm.
because I was trying to fix things in my classroom in the thought might help, and my administration was basically saying, you don't have a right to do that. And so then I had a discussion with the principal and the vice principal, who was a lovely woman and actually cared about the kids. He did not care about the kids. The principal did not care about nuisance. They also had no for him, partly because of this. But I told them that things had gotten to the point where I was experiencing suicidal thoughts and that I was going to put in my resignation. And so that's what I did. And I really wish I had refound my contract and read it before I did that, because I gave them 2 weeks notice. I only owed them 1 week per my contract.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, Melissa, is there any of the challenges? Anything else you want to add?
Wait, AC or me?
Either of you, before we move on.
Okay. What
I pretty
was
much
it?
covered mine.
Things I face, challenges I face.
Challenges. If you tell them, do people treat you differently?
Okay. Challenges. Again, guys, I don't know where I should be looking. People. Asexuality is a spectrum. So everyone's going to feel differently about this. This is just how I feel. Let's repeat that. I'm not going to, but you know what I mean. So me personally, challenges? No. I mean, I pass. If I choose not to tell someone, I cannot tell someone. I'm bisexual, so that causes other problems. But when it comes to being ace, no. I mean, I don't know, having to deal with gross dudes that are like, you got a man? And I'm like, no. And they're like, you should have a man. I'm like, whoa! That's a whole nother thing. So yeah, all I do is make up boyfriends and girlfriends. Yeah, so I would say no challenges for me personally. And anyone that I tell, because I tend to overshare everything. No, I think they're cool with it. I have a really great group of people around me because I don't tolerate assholes or racists or homophobes or xenophobes. There's so many phobes. I hate them all. Yeah, so everything's pretty, peachy pie when I tell people, and I do tell people. I love to tell people. The more you talk about it, the more people get to know about it. So yes, I will throw it out there every time.
Okay, so that. I feel like that's a perfect lead into the next question, which is, we'll say, just because I'm trying to keep an eye on our time, like 2 or 3 sentences or 2 or 3 like bullet points. What would you say to someone who thinks they might be asexual? I guess, Melissa, if you want to start us off.
Okay. 1, awesome. I'm so excited. I don't know if you are, you don't know if you are, but let's find out everything about it. I will send you videos and let's just Google the shit out of it. And it's exciting and you're not alone. And, just awesome. Awesome sauce. Oh, I said awesome sauce. Yeah, just awesome. Fucking awesome.
Okay, AC?
So, again with hey, cool. Here's some resources full for me and that I think are informative and, cool. And also, don't worry about being not ace enough. There's no such thing as not ace enough. There's no such thing as too ace. And if this turns out to be, if you end up, tweaking your exact terminology, because there are uh, other variations under the spectrum umbrella there with asexuality. If you find a particular term that you feel fits you a little better, awesome. If you, keep exploring and you decide maybe you're not exactly ace, that's cool too. It's not something you have to write down. It's, you are a living being. You evolve. And Melissa's hands gestures remind me, fluidity is a thing in anything that's got a spectrum. So it's like, if you are, that's awesome. Here's some reading material just to help you keep working on this, this pattern of thought. And if you decide later, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 10 year down the road that, this doesn't fit you as much as you thought it did, that's okay. You can change your self label. The only labels that matter are what you write in your "Hello, I am" tag, not what people put on you, because that's a big difference between choosing your own label and someone sticking one on you. The ones they stick on you, take that off, trash that. You make your label. It's yours.
I think that's really, really well put, and it's an excellent point. That not even just for ACE identities, but for all identities across the LGBTQ spectrum and beyond. I think that the recognition of fluidity and of growth and of change is so vital and important that, even within our community, it's not, here's a row of boxes, jump in one and stay there. It's, here are some options. What seems most appropriate now? So I think those were really excellent answers. And it also, Melissa, you've mentioned this a couple of times, and AC, you have also, we often see people question how you can be bisexual or pansexual and asexual at the same time. So can we talk about that a little bit?
Fuck yeah.
Melissa, if you want to start.
Yes. I identify as bisexual. I always have, although now that more languages out there, more people are expressing how they identify, and I'm learning all this, I kind of wonder if I should say pansexual, because honestly, I don't care. Like, there's no, like, attraction is attraction, like, I don't know. So I don't know if saying bisexual anymore is, now that I think about it. So, but we'll stick with it because that's what I went with. That's putting myself in a fucking box. You know what? Maybe I'm pansexual. Questioning it.
You chose your box.
Yeah,
you chose your box.
I'm jumping into a different box.
It and you said, I fit in it, I'm going to sit in it for right now.
I can like anybody. Sexuality, it's
like
not about sex, people. There's emotional attraction, aesthetic attraction, anything that you can think of. You fucking love cuddling them. You love who they are. You love laughing with them, living with them, gardening with them, watching BoJack Horseman with them. There's so many things. So I think I don't think a straight person would hear that. Like, so you're asexual, but you like opposite sex? No one would say that to a straight person. So I'm asexual and I can't be bisexual, possibly pansexual. I don't know. I'm feeling it out. And it's all the same. Why? Of course I can be. Screw you. That's it.
Yeah. AC,
Yeah. Also, in just looking at stuff leading up to now, some of the, historical stuff about asexuality, which actually does exist prior to, you know, not prior to,
Forever.
I don't counter to, maybe. I lost the word I was thinking of. In other words, in opposition to what some people think, there is asexual history. Um, a lot of times, in, say, the queer scene, the asexuals and the bisexuals might be all hanging out in the same group because they weren't just into guys or just into girls. So, they're over there doing their we're not into one or the other thing. And this is, again, anecdotal evidence from uh, things I've read from who were in scenes in various places in the world at times where this was common. Uh, Also, as far as how you can be bi and ace, or lesbian and ace, or gay and ace, goes back to that different kinds of attraction. Uh, I'm aromantic. Someone else might be. They may have a romantic interest. They might have aesthetic interest, which is more the looks. They might have a sensual interest. They like how it feels cuddling up to certain people. Like, they might like muscles, or they might like soft and curvy. Uh, there's all sorts of reasons somebody might have, you know, multiple identities that to someone on the outside don't seem to make sense to them because they're not the one experiencing it. And let's see. Did I have anything else?
Thank you, AC, for kind of
I think
diving deep.
that pretty much goes to it.
I feel like, and again, both of you have touched on this a lot, but that spectrum of attraction as well. Like I can remember when I was younger that platonic kind of got to the point where it was used almost as a like offensive word. Like it was, oh, we're just platonic friends. And there's very much in, I will say, American culture, because obviously I have not lived outside of America, but I know in our culture in particular, there is, as you both mentioned, such an emphasis on romance and sexuality at such a young age that I cannot begin to imagine how difficult it is to kind of fight against the current on that. And to sort of, figure out that everybody else is wrong, basically, like in thinking that that there is something wrong with you for not having this that everyone else has. So we're kind of in the middle here, but again, I just want to express my appreciation for you guys being so really awesome and open. And I think people can learn a lot from what we've talked about. Let's see. So next question. As an asexual, how do you feel about the importance of sex positivity and supporting sex and sex worker or sex work and sex workers and sex positive art forms? So I guess AC, if you want to start off.
All right. So first, I'll go back to something that was touched on a little earlier in the discussion about uh, different ways asexuals personally view sex. Uh, some are sex averse or repulsed, which means none for me, thank you at all. Please take that far, far away. Some are, uh, you could call sex neutral. Uh, you know, generally meh, but, not ruling it out entirely. And then there are aces that are personally sex positive, meaning that they're totally open to sex with a partner for, whatever reasons, as long as, there's consent and all that. Then moving on to the broader spectrum of uh, sex for people who are not you, um, I will first off state that sex work is work. Sex workers are workers. I will also mention, because this is who I am, that the industrial workers of the world recognizes as fellow workers, which means that there is a union available to them. So, okay, enough about that. Other than that, I think that um, sex positivity, from an educational standpoint, is a really needed thing, because I don't actually remember sex ed if I had it at all. I know we went over things when I got to my college biology class, and we got to the human reproductive system, but that's mostly all I remember. And there was one girl in that class. It was a night class, and we had several women who were married with multiple children, so they were not at all bothered by talking about the reproductive system. We had this one girl who was like, I'm a virgin. I don't need to talk about this. And we were all like, girl, in 7th grade. You are in college. No, there will not be separate tests for guys and girls. You're in college. Grow up. But that kind of gives you an idea of the state of the sex education, especially in Alabama. Because I'm presuming she was from Alabama. But, there needs to be a more open discussion of, it's okay to be sexual. Doesn't make you a bad person. It's okay to not be sexual. That also does not make you a bad or broken person. If you are going to do the sex, here's how to do it safely. And, with a variety of equipment as far as partners go, because not everybody has a partner who has the equipment that they're going to tell you about in, sex straight people. And so, the protections aren't all the same. Let's see. Also, you might be into some things sexually and not others. That's okay. This is why you need to communicate. The stressing of communicating with a partner definitely needs to be there. And, thankfully, discussions about consent are becoming more normalized. And then, let's see. As far as art, normalizing multiple body types as, able to be sexual beings without it being something that is seen as, oh, well, they can't be attractive because they're fat, or they can't be attractive because they're disabled. And, the infinite variety of trans bodies. And so I don't have a lot of experience with the artwork, but it's always good to, if someone is drawing, say, just general body positive also. That they include, bodies of different size, bodies with different skin colors, different racial backgrounds, different disabilities or abilities or other things, because that's something that people need to know, that disabled people can want sexual relationships. Just because it would have to work differently for them doesn't mean that they might not be interested. That is something, it's often used to infantilize disabled people. To think that, somehow just because they're disabled, they're not interested in the myriad of things that non-disabled people are interested in. And I'm going to take a break
Those are really
and catch my breath and let Melissa add some things.
Okay. Sex worker? Is that the first thing?
I made notes.
importance of sex positivity and supporting sex workers and sex positive art.
Support sex workers. I don't give a shit what you are, who you like, what you do. Support them. It's valid work. It's hard work. It's not easy cash. It's a fucking job. There's no shame in it. Most people, the people that say they have issues with sex workers, dude, you watch so much porn or you buy so many used panties. Don't give me that shit. So, sex positivity. Yes, be sex positive. If you don't want to have sex, that's awesome. I don't want of course I wouldn't say to someone who's asexual, like, you need to get in it. But when it comes to sex positivity, when I was in high school, I would give my girlfriends vibrators as presents. Do whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. I want you to have great orgasms if you want orgasms. Everyone, I want my mom to have great orgasms if she wants, and that's gross. But everyone should. So yes, sex positivity. Wave your freak flag. You got kinks? I want to hear about them. I'm glad. What was the third one? Sex. Does that mean porn? What do you mean when you say it? Like, is that like movies, books, that hentai stuff with octopuses?
And of course, this is personal to some of us, but sex positive art being like, burlesque or like nude modeling for drawing or stuff like that.
Love it. Love it. I love burlesque. I love dancers. Have you ever been to a strip club? Delicious. I love it. I've been to sex clubs, which I was talking to my mom earlier. She's like, you've told me this before. I was like, lucky you. I mean, yeah, totally sex positive. And there are movies that, they have sex. Little Children with Kate Winslet and Patrick Wilson. Woo! That's a good sex scene. You guys should watch that. So yeah, sex positivity, totally.
Awesome. Melissa is one of my dear friends, and Melissa, you just make me laugh with your enthusiasm sometimes. It's so infectious, and I'm so excited to be doing this. I think that kind of folds into another question that I had. I'm going to spring a question that wasn't on the list on you. Do you feel, and I mean, you've kind of already answered this, but to answer it just completely directly, do you feel like erasure of ace identities within sex education, within the greater LGBTQ community, do you think that is something that is really needs to be addressed with like strength and immediacy? I know what my answer is, but I'll let you guys answer. Yeah, Melissa.
Fuck yes. I'm done.
I figured that would be your answer. AC, you want to add anything?
Yeah. Uh, the idea, the idea that, like, well, back when some group did the letters of the LGBTQIA plus alphabet and only had ally for A, is like, there's more than that. And, you know, they're useful allies. They're useful. But, and while a lot of them end up being, joining one of the other letters in time, uh, if you're going to put it in the acronym, it needs to not be them. You've got asexuals, you've got aromantics, you've got agender people. The A is for anything but allies. It's like, you can come, but there are issues that don't concern you, and we have, we've got our issues. We'll take care of our issues some kind of way. It's like there are aces who don't want to be included in the LGBT community for whatever reason. There are those who do very much want to be included in the community because they experience, people misunderstand them, just as people misunderstand every other letter in there. And, the thing is, we've been in the community. It's like there is a picture that there's a picture of a sign in the 1970s at, I don't know what kind of event it was, but in the list of sexualities, asexuality is right up there with, gay, lesbian, bisexual. We exist. We have existed. There is documented evidence of our existence. We are not an internet meme. And we are queer. A lot of us tick off more letters of that alphabet or embrace more the, I like talk, shifting briefly to mention assimilation versus um, liberation, whereas this thing as queer as more of the anti-establishment, and seeing in some cases the LGBT section as more of the assimilate corporate, when all when it's pride and every company ever is rainbowing. Yeah. Also, my trains of thought switched tracks. Feel free to, let's see, do I have any notes on that?
Probably not. I threw it at you out of the blue. So.
Yeah, just mostly, we've been here, we've been involved in the community. It's not, resources are not pie. Representation is not pie. If we get some.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, we are just as worthy of inclusion as non-binary people, non-binary people. And there's a lot of overlap with autism and asexuality and non-binary and transgenders. of which I ping all. So yeah. And it's like it's not the oppression. The need to be included in the does not exist wholly on have you or have you not been persecuted to X extent.
Right.
Because that's just don't go there. Just don't go
Right.
there.
Well, I mean, I feel like when you're dealing with marginalized sexual identities, especially, like I know that you've both mentioned it, but Melissa, you really talked a lot about like loneliness. And I think that that's something that people don't recognize how distancing and personally toxic that can be. If you're in a community that's touted as being like, inclusive and being a community, to somehow be put to the outside of that is really an issue that has to be addressed. And I think you guys did a really great job answering that question. Our next to last question that we have for you guys. Does your asexuality influence how you present, how you dress, how you physically present yourself? Melissa?
No.
Okay. And there.
Also
AC?
no, except that, like Ace Pride merch is cool.
We got good colors.
Yeah, the impact the clothes I choose or anything, but Ace Pride stuff is cool. Accessorizing, pins, buttons, patches, all that good stuff.
All right, Dima, before we move on to the end, I know you've been over there taking notes. Do you have any questions you want to throw in?
I saw them taking notes.
I did take a lot of notes. I think that everything got covered, actually, eventually. Every question I had, eventually got covered. But I threw in that last question about the way you dress because I saw when I was researching some myths about asexual people don't show cleavage or stuff like that. So I thought that was
Sit up straight, Melissa.
But
I don't show cleavage because I don't like having it.
right.
These are gonna go sometime in the future, hopefully. It's like no me gusta. Other people they're great.
Yeah, I love
Great. Other people like theirs, they're great. I don't want mine. Never have.
I can't wait for you to get
Never
when you
have
want
one.
to. It's so exciting.
Okay. Let's see. Have we had any questions in the comments, Dima? Anybody?
We just got a wow face.
Oh.
Sorry. I've been watching the whole. Oh, another one. Who's doing the wows? What was it?
Before we wrap up with some, the last recommendation is the last question is about recommendations, and you can also just if you guys want to go into the comments, if there's any specific ACE people that you follow or ACE-based groups that you follow or books or shows, any of that stuff that you want to leave links to, that'd be awesome. Before we get to that, I just again want to say thank you guys so much. This has been, I feel like, a really great, candid, honest conversation. And I have tremendous respect and gratitude for you guys to just be willing to sit here with us on a Wednesday night and just talk about everything. It is Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
I hope it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Days aren't real anymore. So So,
think it's Wednesday.
do you
Hours
have
aren't
any
real. Blah, blah, blah.
recommendations that you want to
Uh,
give on the live
I've got a
AC?
couple that are. Yeah, I can't figure out how to put them in chat, but they're the two that are like the easiest to copy down because it's not just so and so's ace tag on their Tumblr. These are two WordPress blogs that do go over a lot of history of terminology of things within the ace community. The first is, and this is all written together, but it's 3 words. The Ace Theist. That's THEIST. So whole thing, starting with the first THEACETHEIST .wordpress.com. And again, that's a big history on like terminology and the evolution of modern asexual spaces on the internet. Also, one that also does the history thing, which a lot of it does have to do with Tumblr because boy howdy did that get interesting.
Tumblr.
Whew, Ace Discourse is something else. This is next step cake at wordpress.com, and I'll spell that again. Again, this is all written together. NEXTSTEPCAKE.wordpress.com. And that one again has a lot of timelines on the wackadoo-ness that is Ace Discourse on Tumblr. But I do have to say, Tumblr is where I found out the word ace existed. And that was like, I was like 25, 26. And so, going 25, 26 years and not having a word for this thing that you feel. Whew. Yeah, that was a doozy.
No.
And then there was some, am I not, crying over it. It was intense.
I'm really excited to find out about history stuff in a blog. Melissa, recommendations.
What is it like? Books and I spent so much time on this one.
Accounts,
I spent
movies.
so much time
And
about this.
once we get off the live, I'll post some more links.
Okay.
Awesome.
When we get off the live, I'll post some actual links to more stuff that goes into like the 1907 histories and stuff.
Right.
That stuff.
Fantastic. Melissa?
I went through so much time thinking about this and felt like failure. I don't know much about I love Tumblr. I'm 41. I love Tumblr. Tumblr is where you just find shit. But go anywhere. Google it. Go on Pinterest. Yeah, that's right, bitches. There's shit on Pinterest. You're learning those muffin zucchini recipes. Guess what? Type in asexual. Got shit there. I love a YouTuber. Her name is Echo Gillette. And she is ace, and she's actually a character on a show that I love, BoJack Horseman. And there's an asexual character on there. His name is Todd Chavez. And it has been beautiful to see the representation. Everybody knows representation fucking matters. It's beautiful to see, and it just is in any way, shape, or form. So that's all I got.
Awesome. Well, I was hoping we could get this done in about an hour and a half, and we have slid in right under the line. It's really funny that the has wrapped up. so much about Tumblr because, as a matter of fact, Ace Week has a Tumblr. But again, Ace Week on Tumblr. They are still Asexual Awareness Week on Facebook and Instagram. It's at Ace Week on Twitter. They're constantly, especially right now, but they are constantly putting out a lot of really good, kind of easily consumable in the way that social media things are, little tidbits and educational things about asexual awareness. So that's definitely something to check out. Thank you to everybody that watched us.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Dima, is there anything you want to say to close us out?
That's it. That was really awesome. Thank you both and you for moderating, but thank y'all for like sharing yourselves and doing this. I hope that we can do this whenever we have an awareness week so we can center the voices of the people that we're being aware about. So I'm really glad people tuned in and paid attention, and now we can all be better.
Yeah, I want to add, just before you're done, I want you to keep going.
I'm good. The reason I did this here, I will add this, is because Melissa and I were talking about, I think Project Say Something related, of course, and she was like, oh, I felt so included because Camille says LGBTQIA, and I think about that a lot.
It was like, yes, Camille knows me. Yes. Come on, we all have crushes on Camille. I wanted to say real quick. This wasn't asked, and I don't want to offend anyone, but I did want to talk about this because I have no boundaries. Is it okay that I say something real quick?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. When it comes to sex, this is going to be too personal. You really shouldn't fucking ask anybody about what's between their legs, what's on, like, any of that. Don't do that. But I will tell you. So some people who are asexual are repulsed by sex. So it's like the whole like, ooh, which I feel like I am sometimes. Like I'm like, ooh, you put your tongue in their butt? Like just weird random things that I just don't understand. It's just, you know, oh, you put a penis between her boobs. Like, I mean, that's interesting. I'm not repulsed by it, but, and there are some people, Camille is amazing. And there are some people who will have sex because they love the connection. I've had 2 relationships in my life. I had my first adult kiss at 31. I was what I thought was celibate, but wasn't. It was asexuality. I had no relationships in my 20s. And my first kiss at 31, dated someone, that was it, and here I am at 41. But anyway, some people masturbate, some don't. Some do it because they want to get a release from it. Some people have sex because most people that are asexuals, they're not in relationships with other asexuals. So that's something to think about. And that also makes you nervous and lonely because you're like, what girl is ever going to want to date me? Because they're like, why don't you think I'm like totally sexy? Like, why aren't you liking all this down here or whatever, or up here, or, you know, like, why don't you think I'm sexy? Or the idea of, you know, you have sex with me, you go down on me, but, you know, is your heart in it? Like, yeah, I want to make you happy, man. You know, I don't know. I'm just trying to say, like, it's spectrum. And it doesn't make you any less asexual if you have sex sometimes, if you masturbate sometimes. I had an orgasm for the first time this year. I will do it like every once in a while, but it's very robotic, and I do it because it feels good. My vagina, my clitoris, I guess that's better, right? Like clitoris. It works, you know? It never occurs to me. I'm very robotic about it, but I get it. It feels good. I don't know. But anyway, spectrum. Some people do, some people don't. It's really none of your fucking business, but it doesn't make them any less asexual. Boom.
Awesome. Thank you for adding that, because I was just kind of like, let's not do any like sexual questions, because you never know.
I'm totally, yeah. All of them, any of them. It was fine.
I'm sure a lot of people were.
Yeah, ask me. I thought there'd be anonymous questions.
There
Yeah.
was one anonymous question about that.
Yeah.
Oh, it was really bad.
But most of the anonymous questions we got overlapped with the questions that we already had. So
I thought there was one.
we
really
just did a
bad.
really good job curating our questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
All right.
All right.
that's it.
And speaking of zucchini, zucchini was mentioned at some point earlier.
Zucchini muffins.
Therefore, this is not as sexual as you might think. But for a while, a term that was in the asexual lexicon for, it's someone you have a strong connection to that's not necessarily sexual or romantic, was your zucchini.
All right.
And that kind of evolved into queer platonic. Queer platonic is the more recognized version of the sort of relationship where it's not exactly romantic, but it's definitely more than what we're trained to think of as friendship.
Yes, it's possible to have a
It's like where you would happily, like you'd be totally happy to share a house with this person or people. You'd be happy to raise a kid with them. All this stuff that people don't generally think of people who are just friends doing together. And it's just this, this strong connection that, for some people there may be a sexual component. For a lot of people there isn't. And there is some history of people fighting over who made that word first, between ace people and aromantic people, which I didn't know about until I sang about it on the Ace Theists blog, because they were one of the people who originally coined the term. So they're like, yeah, aces did this one first because they're ace. They're like, no, actually, we did first. We have documentation.
Some people are just
Stop trying to tell us we didn't.
Some people are just jerks.
But yeah, there's
Apostle Billy Ray.
yeah, and yeah, it's one of those intra-community issues that every part of every part of the rainbow.
Spectrum.
But yeah, that's a thing. No, we don't get paid by Soros.
No.
Chat there.
I know I've heard people say that, but I've heard people find that offensive.
All right. I'm going to end the live now.
All right.
All right. Nice, guys.